Why? Inflation, which currently stands at more than 21% according to government statistics.
21%. Hey guys, hi, Bryson here, and welcome back to the show. And you know, one thing I've learned, guys, is that some things in life you want to learn from other people, other countries and stuff like that, so you don't got to go through it, you know, because I've heard so many stories of hyperinflation and what it's really like. For example, in Venezuela, and also now apparently like in Turkey, and also like a few not islands, a few places like in South America. Like things can get very, very nasty. So hyperinflation is not a joke. It erodes your savings. Things get very expensive, and it's a very hard thing to kind of get over. You know, that's why it's important you invest your money. It's important you know what to do. At least in America, you know, we have, for example, like TIPS, Treasury, protect. What is it? What TIPS stands for? Treasury Inflation Protected Securities, right? That's what it stands for. So basically, you put money into this type of bond, and it adjusts for inflation. So that way, you never have to worry about hyperinflation in a sense. Okay, but guys, let's watch this video together. The intro is kind of long, but honestly, I had to. You know, and this video is all about Turkey and how bad inflation can actually be. Because apparently in Turkey, inflation is kind of crazy. Kinda, not really kinda, it is crazy. And I had no idea until I saw this video, and I was like, let me watch it with the people here before I watch it on my own. Because that way, I can just watch it with you guys, right? So why not? Let's watch it together, guys.
Turkey is in economic turmoil.
Turkey is in economic turmoil.
People are queuing for bread, cutting back on meat, and are even fleeing to other countries.
You know what, guys? That fleeing to other countries, man, sometimes you got to do it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you got to do it. My mom did it. My grandma did it. Not to other country, but like another place. You got to learn how to immigrate. You know, that's what, at the end of the day, humans are. Since the very beginning, we immigrate to better possibilities. Don't be stuck somewhere where it don't make no sense no more.
Why? Inflation, which currently stands at more than 21% according to government statistics.
21%. I mean, think about it, guys, okay? You spent, let's say, 10 years and you saved $10,000. And just in 1 year, now you're able, that $10,000 is basically not, it's like worth like 21.3% less. So you can't buy as many things as you could before. Like your savings, they're gone, like super gone.
Statistics. The US inflation rate, by comparison, is at a 39-year high of 6.8%.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I did hear that
nearly
was at 6.5%.
twice as much as
6.8%
global average.
But you know, we printed a lot of money. I think the stats were that we printed more than 40% of the money supply just in like 12 months. So it does make sense.
Of 3.5%.
I have never experienced such a deplorable life. I go to sleep, I wake up, and the prices have gone up. I mean, imagine that, right? Especially like, let's say like you're like a single lady, maybe you get government assistance and all that extra stuff, and by the way, wages don't keep up with inflation like this. So it's not like, well, if the prices went up, your wage goes up automatically. It's not like that. It's not like you get like a wage adjusted for inflation. And that's one big thing, right? Because when you do get, for example, like a wage increase, you got to understand, well, am I getting a wage increase or am I getting an inflation adjusted wage increase? This is very different.
Unlike the US,
I love these marketplaces.
Turkey is an emerging market. It's seen 2 decades of broad economic growth and
I'm probably invested into Turkey because I do invest in emerging markets. I know I'm invested into Belize and so on. It's a very small percentage of my investments though, so I don't think I'm like giving you some crazy tip. I'm not. I tell you exactly what I invest into, and it's a very small percentage of my investments.
Expanding middle class, but now the lira is in free fall as the country reckons with President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's unorthodox economic approach.
Unorthodox economic approach. It's very interesting, huh? I don't think one way is always gonna work, but like if you see like something working for other countries, like why not like kind of like follow suit in a sense, right? Like I don't know.
Which is contrary to widely accepted inflationary wisdom.
What did he say? What is this guy doing?
As central banks around the world respond to a stronger than expected pickup in inflation amid economic.
And by the way, when you have inflation and prices are going up, obviously you wanna cut on the printing of money. You want to also raise interest rates so people can, you know, stop spending crazy amount of money. Prices kind of like kind of stabilize in a sense. But you want to be very careful, very careful with this stuff. Inflation, and by the way, inflation is a man-made thing. It's not like it's like a natural thing of the economy. No, it's man-made. And governments actually used to use this as an idea. So think about this, right? If I'm a government and I owe you $1 million and I can just print at will, why don't I just print a bunch of money and now that $1 million is worth a lot less money, right? It's a crazy thing, but it's man-made and it gives the government like some benefits in some sense. You know what I mean? So it's not like, oh, hey, it just happens. No, it's man-made. Back all the way down to Rome days, by the way. I'm talking about like long ago. This was a thing long ago. Like when Rome had a bunch of debt, they would just basically because you know back then we had like gold and copper equivalent currencies. So what they would do is instead of making it, for example, well, this coin of gold weighs this exact thing, they would just put less gold in it. And now it's kind of like, you know, like you can make a lot more of it with the same amount of gold, and that leads to inflation. It's crazy, bro.
From the pandemic, there are lessons to be learned from Turkey's approach.
Okay. Positive lessons?
In a nutshell, to prevent the economy from overheating, central banks can increase the cost of borrowing by raising interest rates, which curbs the rate of inflation. And this is precisely what is happening in most other emerging markets.
And by the way, we still haven't raised interest rates because we were going through a pandemic and we wanted to promote spending, because if you stop spending, it can be deflation is not something you want. You know, it's a very tricky thing. The economy is a very tricky thing. That's why I don't make fun of anybody who has that job.
Central banks, to great effect. But Turkey's central bank has done the opposite. Under pressure from President Erdogan, who has invoked a religious prohibition on usury in his argument against high interest rates.
So he's used religion. You know what I like about the Bible, guys? I remember I read this text in the Bible, and the Bible is like, you know, leave for Caesar what is Caesar's and what's for God, God, or something like that. I don't really know the exact verse. Not that well versed. I'm getting a lot better with the Bible and so on. But it just says, like, you know, economical stuff and Bible stuff and like whatever religion you're a part of, like sometimes they're supposed to be separate. Like one thing I really appreciate about America in a sense is like the separation between state and church, you know what I mean, and like religion. Not in all aspects, but like in a lot of aspects, you know, because you just can't be making these, because none of what we're doing with the economy is like religion, you know what I mean? It's like economical policies.
The rate has been cut 3 times since mid-September.
3 times.
Which has torpedoed the value of the lira.
And by the way, I can't say like, oh, you know, this guy is all about, I don't know the guy. So there might be like some hidden intentions, you know. Who gets rich when inflation is up? People that usually owe a lot of money, right? It's tricky to say, right? Because if you're in debt, you want inflation. If you have a lot of money in savings, you don't want inflation. People owe you money, you don't want inflation. Companies don't want inflation. Like all these things, you usually don't want inflation. So what else could be this guy's like benefit to doing this nonsense?
A rapidly weakening currency pushes up the cost of key imports like food and energy. This is already hurting the Turkish people's bank accounts.
I mean, imagine, right? I mean, so what can you do during these times, right? You have a few options. You can put your money into assets to produce something. Or you can just like switch currencies as fast as possible. But then it's kind of tricky. You know what I mean? You can put your money into a more stable currency, but it all depends like on the country and so on. But usually like, you should be fine if you do that. But again, you're still making the same amount of money, and that's a tricky thing. So it's not like, okay, I just put my money into the dollar, so now I'm good. But no, because when you make money, that money is already worth less, and probably the exchange rate has also changed. Like everything changes. It's such a difficult thing to talk about. People are constantly in panic mode. Our business is in a very crowded neighborhood. So we see. Yeah. They're using money that's under their mattress. I mean, it's crazy, yo. That's why I'm not a fan of saving money, yo. I'm a fan of like you have your emergency account, great, but don't be saving money thinking it's gonna save your life.
In an October survey,
put your money into assets.
More than 80% of the
because guess what? If you have, let's say if you have a property, right? If inflation goes up, what happens to the price of your asset? It's gonna go up, right? Because it's gonna cost more money to buy the house or whatever it is. Same thing with a stock. Can go up potentially, but it can also affect the company in a few ways.
Turkish public said the government
was handling the economy
badly. The crisis has prompted protests, mostly from union members, and calls for Erdogan's government to resign.
Erdogan's Erdogan. That guy sounds like a what do you call those people with the lightsabers? I forgot what you call those ones. You know what I'm saying? Like damn, I'm gonna get flamed in the comments. Like a guy from the Star Wars. There you go.
Turkish banks so far have been able to withstand the currency crisis.
What's wrong with this guy? Like, why wouldn't he raise interest rates? This is why I like, I love America in the sense of like the checks and balances. Like these things really make sense when you see it like happen in other countries. You have the check and balance between the Fed and the government. The government can't tell the Fed what to do. They're separate. I love that. Checks and balances.
But economists are concerned that a further collapse of the lira could trigger a bank run, or that Turkey could default on its foreign debts.
And that can send the whole thing into like a whole folly.
Erdogan, meanwhile, has said he welcomes the
Erdogan. My man just needed a
depreciation of the lira to encourage an export-based economy.
An export-based economy.
Similar to Japan and Taiwan.
Interesting. Is this the same method that Taiwan and Japan did? Because I remember Japan was having a problem with deflation. They were actually paying I think it was like saving money in your bank account was actually costing you money.
Other officials have insisted that the currency fluctuations are temporary. Some economists have said that the strategy is likely to fail because inflation has put pressure on exporters.
Yeah, because prices are going up.
Who now have to pay more for energy and raw materials.
Yeah.
Others doubt that Turkey's inflation is even at 21.3%. An independent research group estimates that in reality the figure is more
58%. Yeah, because a lot of these numbers you get it like it's like you know like when you have like those crazy companies that make very unhealthy food and they tell you like research shows that this is not that unhealthy, and then when you look at who the researchers are and who hired them, it's the same exact company. So there's obviously like a bias there.
More than 58%. Investors and economists
look at all that fresh food, huh guys? That looks so good. Look at all those vegetables, yo. And my gosh, I'm gonna die. So like I've been craving onions lately. Don't ask me why. Just don't ask me. But I have been craving onions.
Fear that Turkey's embattled economy could get worse before it gets better.
Possibly. I mean, you know, the good thing about the financial world that we live in is that we have history, right? And history shows us what happens in the end. So it's not like this is the first country to attempt something this stupid. I shouldn't really say that because I don't know all the details and I don't know the guy, what his whole thing is. But something like this risky, I should say. And, you know, just use history to show you, like, where can this possibly end? You know what I mean? So that's about it, guys, for this video, though. I've heard enough. I'm just saying, man, these things are pretty scary. So look out for these things, okay, guys? So remember, invest in assets. The only money and savings you should have is just your emergency account. That's really the only money you should have. And money that you're obviously going to be saving up to buy an asset. Like, that's expensive. You need, like, a down payment and so on. That makes sense. Like, buying a car, you need to save money. You know, inflation goes crazy here. My car is all of a sudden, it goes for more money. My home goes for more money. My assets are actually worth more. You know what I mean? So you got to invest in assets. That's all I'm going to say. Peace out, though. Long-term team out. Like, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified. Comment down below. Let me know what's up. On top of that, also DM me on Instagram, Bryson. Thanks for watching, guys. And as always, hey, peace out, guys.